Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Montana Multipreneurs. We're your co-hosts. I'm Nina Lund, owner of Next Generation HR, and our other co-host is Mac Smith with Maven Administrative Consulting. Joining us today is Miguel Camargo of Flow Networking. Miguel, hello and welcome today. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. Miguel joins us from sunny Florida, where we'll be here soon. Updates to come with that. Today, though, Miguel will be sharing with us some of his areas of expertise when it comes to networking with intention. And so just to set the stage a little bit, as we were visiting right before, Miguel, you also work full-time in financial services, but have really taken off on this endeavor with networking, correct?
100%. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Background is I was like this. I always like to lead with culture, right? Where our family's Mexican American, one of 10 kids. And I always like to lead with that because it shows the impact of why I do what I do today. My families are come from entrepreneurial backgrounds, whether it's construction or actually the network marketing field is what my grandparents raised me in. And at a young age, I used to be this shy, insecure kid, but wanting inside to have that desire to want to be the face of the crowd. I don't know if you've ever dealt with insecurities, but at a young age, I got big into Dave Chappelle comedy, and that opened up a willingness to reenact his skits, which eventually got the insecurity, the shyness out. That after 15 years of being in business and having so much repetition of talking to people, which is kind of what led into the networking aspect. I always like to lead where that starts from. The background is I'm a father of six kids ranging from 1 to 12. And, we like to say, listen, now we live our life intentionally, and which is why we network intentionally with building a business with people that we can do life with. That's our mentality.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So really wanted to expand then on what that means, networking with intention, why it matters, how businesses can incorporate kind of some strategic networking techniques to help support their business. So just talk a little bit about that.
I always say start with the end in mind, right? So when we hear networking, we hear, oh, I got to go meet people. I got to go introduce myself. I have to go build relationships, right? Hey, you need to know who your avatar is. Who's your client? Who are you really looking for? Because far too many times, us as professionals, we go to these events and feeling like we got to meet everybody, right? And I think if we know what the outcome of when we're going to network, who are we trying to meet? It allows us to bring more value to those that when we do meet them, we have intention to be there. I like to say this one because I've held networking events for going on 5 years, is put your motives in your back pocket for the next 45 minutes and focus on the person you're standing in front of. Ask about them, ask about their goals, and find out and genuinely how you can help them hit their goal. Because I think in this scenario, Mac, people will remember you for how you made them feel versus what you told them what you do. Does that make sense? That's good. Does that answer your question, Nina, or would you like me to
It does
expand on that?
100%. It does because, especially recently, it seems like there are so many different networking groups that as a business owner, you can really get tapped out going to them. And how do you measure the ROI? And I know that sounds terrible, but that is why you're networking. You're networking to ultimately collaborate, partner, get some business, get clients. But you go to all these events and sometimes you come home and say, okay, I met a lot of cool people. Now what?
Well, I believe that's the importance of doing your research prior to going to events. So I'll give you an example. When I first started hosting events, I only held the events coming out of the pandemic. I watched the show called Undercover Billionaire, where they took Grant Cardone, had $100, 90 days, and a cell phone with no contacts and a beat up truck. And then within 90 days, Nina, he had to build a business worth $1 million. And when I saw that, I said, Miguel, you're playing too small. If people don't know you, they can't buy from you. So again, I have the ability to bring people together. So I started off doing networking events just to bring my business friends together. And eventually what happened is you'll realize some people come to these events with the wrong intentions of I'm here to take and not to bring value to the room. And when we go to network events, yes, you need to make money. Yes, you need to have a return on investment of your time because you got to make money. It's raising your business. But when you start knowing who your avatar is, you don't waste time on individuals that are not going to either you can bring value to or that can't bring value to you. And it doesn't always have to be monetarily wise. Sometimes it's just collaboration or an additional resource to other people, right? Well, you really hit on a big point there. The follow up is the execution, right? There are times where I'll give a referral, and I do this intentionally. So, Nina, if I can do a little role playing with you, if let's just say you are a individual and you said, "Hey, Miguel, I know someone. These are my services, and you want to be, and Mac needs your services. I will refer you over to Nina. I'm sorry, to Mac, and then I would say, Nina, I want to let you know I follow up on every referral that I give. And I want to make sure that if I continue to give you business or we lead each other to business, that you have to execute on it. And because this is a professional agreement that I'm giving you my credibility to for you to earn income. And if you can't honor that agreement because of what you said you weren't going to do, well then they can read in between the lines. They're not going to get more referrals, and it's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of holds the bar. So you actually, this played out in real life, Miguel. You and I had a pre-chat and you referred
Mhm.
me and connected myself with another HR
Oh yeah.
type person. And it's funny, the psychological aspect, because I'm like, well, one of our potential guests just referred me. I better follow up on this, holding that kind of honor a little bit and integrity that Miguel put himself out there to introduce us. He must have thought there was something for us to visit about. And I'm going to honor that and move forward with having the meeting. So it's amazing how psychologically that can play out, I feel like.
And but if you also think of it like this, so many times we go to events. You ladies are putting on an event here in Jacksonville. You bring people together because you want to add value to earn income and to generate that consistent revenue. How do you show up for yourself? I always say this, you have to show up for yourself consistently, even though you don't feel like showing up. Because I can tell you, sometimes we don't feel like showing up to our regular jobs or businesses every day. Do you show up for yourself? That builds credibility for you. But when you show up for yourself and others, that will naturally build your credibility in the marketplace. Where even if I don't know how well you've done business, because you're willing to show up every day, I know there's got to be some type of characteristic or integrity in you that you're going to do the job right.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And those are really getting at some key leadership traits about who you do want to network with and do business with. And Miguel, it sounds like you're starting from a place of trust with people that you interact with and knowing or trusting in the people that you're referring, that you're doing networking with and business and coaching, that they're going to show up.
Yeah, and I'll share with you how I do this. I'm very unorthodox. I'm not your politically correct person. When I first meet you, I'm going to, and this is again, I don't recommend everyone do this unless you have the tenacity and the thickness to do it. I will say some off the wall, off color thing just to see your reaction because I know who I genuinely am, Mac. I'm not going to build a tribe with someone that I can't be authentic with. If I've got to wonder, how do you feel about me behind closed doors? I don't want that. So what I put on as a filter, maybe someone else might have a better way of doing it, but I'll throw some joke out there or something just to see if I can mess with you. And if I find that I can vibe with you, oh, bet, come on, we're gonna get the money together. And I will tell you, Mac, that has burnt me. And again, I give both sides where people left the room saying, I can't stand that guy. And I apologize later. I said, listen, I didn't mean it for this, but but it did show me who that person was not for me. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No, that's good.
And so, kind of shifting gears a little bit, looking at different styles of people, speaking of which, there's people that get energy from networking events and going out and marketing their business. And there's people that it's energy draining. I'm not necessarily going to say they're introverts, but maybe a little more reserved. And going to networking events is like equivalent of like wanting to jump off a cliff. What advice would you have for the more introverted people that doesn't come naturally? And even if they go to the networking event, it might be a little bit uncomfortable putting themselves out there. What kind of tips do you give to people?
So this is where I always say take someone that you're comfortable with. So if I take someone that's very not just a fly on the wall, they're okay with talking to you once you've introduced yourself, but they're not going out of their way to talk to you. I take someone like me, or take a partner that I'm comfortable with. Let's just go and see what happens. And then I always start with just say hello. Introduce yourself. Put whatever intentions or questions you think you need to have in your back pocket. Just have a conversation with them. Maybe you're talking about the music that's playing. Maybe you're talking about something that's on their shirt. And then look for the least barrier way of entry, right? I always funny. I always have icebreakers on me because you always got to look for an icebreaker, right? And I look for ways that I can genuinely just start a conversation with someone. Look for whether it's a T-shirt or something that someone's wearing a Gator thing. You talk about the football, talk about whatever you see, but look for a common interest that you can be yourself organically with. Again, there's times I'm shy where I feel like I'm the person in the room and I don't know why I'm here. But then you just got to muscle up and say, okay, act in faith.
Absolutely. When you go to those events, it's not a tryout, it's not an interview. People are probably feeling the same as you too sometimes with their, unless they're heading it up and know everybody with their. So, what type of, I have been following you on Instagram and I see it looks like you have a couple of, I mean, do you coach people? Like, is that a service you provide or is it more informal? I've seen some
Well, I
of
mean,
your Instagram posts.
I've gotten into coaching organically through recruiting and training agents in our businesses. It's come organically. Do we coach people on how to network? Yes, yes. We will teach you. I can teach someone from scratch to be the most introverted to building a community like we built. But it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen for without effort. You have to do what we're doing here, whether it's Katie that introduced us, and then here we are many miles away, but we're building that new relationship from today, right? But yes, the coaching aspect has come into play because most business owners don't know who their target audience is. They start a business because they feel they're good at it, so they might as well make some money with it. And they don't even know the business proper ways of how to develop and structure the businesses. And I just happen to have that good circle of people that know how to do that. I'm good at what I'm good at. I'm not good at everything. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always like to say I'm not the smart one in the room. I'm the one that can. If you need people to be the life of the party, bring them together, and get great people in the room, that's what I've mastered. And then developing the relationships from there, I'm very good at.
And then what about some of it looks like you have some seminars. I saw the Filt
Yeah.
Summit. Tell us about that.
Okay, so 4.5 years ago, like I said, we started doing networking events. It was always my vision to have this turn into a conference where it was like a Tony Robbins, a Grant Cardone big event, but for Jacksonville, for our city. Eventually, what happened is I did an event December of 2023. We did a goal setting class, and one of my mentors spoke. He closed it out. And he left me with a message, Miguel, go build a better room. And I said, what does that mean? He says, go get around people who make more money. Go build a better room. Again, not that the room was bad. It's just got to go build a better room. That struck a like okay. I was going full gas. I put on the brakes, but it was okay. And then what happened is I said I'm not going to do another event until I feel God's ready to tell me to do it. Mac, March of 2025, one of my clients hit me up, said, "Hey, listen, I have a venue. Let's do an event." Okay, cool. I didn't know what the event was going to be about. I thought it was going to be, at the time, I was coaching some medical marijuana salespeople. I was teaching them how to guerrilla market and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, what if we put together cannabis, crypto, real estate, and AI and all this, and put them into a room? A mess. We didn't know, no direction, but we had a date. And then Nina, I went to an event in Atlanta where I got rebaptized. I recommitted life to God. Just you never know when you need it. And what struck me was this: they said at the end of the event, there's going to be an offer. You're going to spend X amount of money on this course, but we have to start the event by at least offering you salvation. I'm like, okay, that's not new to me. I would say I wasn't expecting that. But when I came out of the event, I said, okay, we're going to do an event for God. Still keep it business, entrepreneurial. And then I said, okay, well, what do we do? I brought a bunch of Christian entrepreneurs together and I said, let's put them in a room and let this field summit come to life. I will tell you what came from that. We knew what each individual speaker was going to talk about. Mine was networking and all this fun stuff, Mac. But what I was not prepared to do, and what happened is I took 2 months off from all my businesses from in a leap of faith. August, September, dried up all revenue because I focused every day on filling up those seats. It wasn't until the day after the event, you're like, oh, snap, we got to go back to work. Your savings only last so long, right? And it was a faith move. Looking back at it now, I'm like, why would you do that? But I felt what God told me to do that. And the win from the event, from this, Nina, is that we had one skeptical person there that was a volunteer. He ended up accepting Christ at the end of the event, got baptized a week later, and we didn't know what was happening. We're like, is this thing really happening? And then people made money, people made contacts. But for us personally, that was the win for the event beyond the business part.
Question for you. You mentioned that you basically that was your focus and you were going to
hmm
fill the event. So is that business development? I mean, you were going out marketing, asking people to attend this event, that calling people, cold calling, all of that?
it was using my network already. It was using every entrepreneur that I knew or business professional. Say, hey, listen, I have an event. I'm doing it this day. These are the things we're teaching. You need to be in the room. And then you have the, oh yeah, I'll do it. Send me the link. I ain't seen no order come through. Where we at? And then it's follow up here. And then you start second guessing yourself. Is your ticket cost too much? What are you doing with production? Da da da. But no, every day was waking up with intentions of getting in front of as many people as possible, putting tickets in people's hands as possible, finding vendors, finding the sponsors. I mean, it's a lot to do an event. Y'all know this. But yeah, it was everything it took. The cold calls didn't have to do any of that. I was able to get in with a couple center of influences that led me to other pockets within their group. hmm Yep. It Yeah, so it depends on what context. There are two separate entities, whether it's the financial services company, that's all in one CRM. Everything else, it's old. It used to be old-fashioned notebooks. I wish I was in my other office where I have notebooks full of strangers that I met. I would keep their name, their number, the details, when I met them, when I called them, and now it's Excel sheets for me now. It's okay.
That's a great question, Max. Along those lines as well, I was going to ask, are business cards a thing of the past, or is that still something people should have? Is it the automatic? I heard somebody the other day gave a tip to have your QR code to your LinkedIn, and that way people can just zoom it right there. And then all of a sudden things are showing up on my social media about some business card where they can just do the same thing. So is paper gone, paper cards?
I can't tell you the last time I've used a business card. I think they're good if you're going to throw it in a bowl at a restaurant. Maybe you want a free lunch. Other than that, everything's so digital these days. I'll give you two ways when I meet somebody. I get their number and I add them to whatever social media that they use the most because I'm going to I prefer Instagram more than anything because I see the personal life, not just the business.
It seems like the personality comes out more on Instagram. I'm a big LinkedIn user, but it does have
Mhm.
to be so professional and structured, where Instagram, it does feel a little bit more like authentic.
Mhm.
I feel like, and just like random, here's my day. What's up? Until the next one comes out, you know something's coming. So, what do you feel, Miguel? Just a couple more questions. Is a simple action someone can take tomorrow to strengthen or up their networking game? What are some
Okay.
simple tips?
We were taught something called the 3 foot rule. If you're within 3 feet of someone, always say hello. Always say hello and just introduce yourself. And if you're that introvert, I always like to start with the introvert because that used to be me. Just say hello to somebody and get the reps in. And eventually, what's your name? Where are you from? And if you start more conversations, you'll find out there's more opportunities out there. There's a good phrase I heard from a guy named Brad Lee: the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And if we have that mentality of all the money that we want is in other people's pockets, it's free. I just got to go say hello to somebody. And that makes it worthy. And then the second thing is when you get a number, you got to follow up. My grandparents used to tell me the fortune of the follow up. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And now later in business, you get it. It's when you follow up so consistent. I get compliments of saying, Miguel, I would have never done business with such and such, but it's because that you are such you're on your jump. You're always in my face, whether it's through social media, whether it's Facebook, text, doesn't matter what it is. You're always there. And I take that from what Grant Cardone said years ago. You need to be omnipresent. People need to know that when they open up your phone or text, this guy's freaking everywhere. I can't stop seeing his face. And that goes back to psychology, Nina. Most people don't buy from a company or brands until they've seen it 5 or 12 touches. So, how do you become the best version of you being omnipresent? Show up the way you have to, but do it one day at a time. It's not overnight success. Don't post, don't drive yourself nuts. Just show up tomorrow and then
Love
just
that.
show up better the next day.
Love it. Something everybody can do right away,
Hmm.
anywhere. Yeah. Just show up and say hello. And yeah, for sure. So, what's next for you, Miguel? What exciting things do you have coming down the pike?
Well, personally, we're mapping out the Field Summit for this year. Our next Field Summit will be October 17th. It's finding the venue, just looking for vendors and sponsors. I haven't even got to that part right now. I'll give you an example of a win. I'll show you how one conversation can change everything. I went to an event in June of last year, another event in Orlando. It's called the Aspire Tour. There's a gentleman named Eddie Wilson. He's exited over 100 businesses in his career. He's putting on this event. I mean, you had David Goggins, Barbara Cochran, all these other people at this event. So eventually I'll speak on a stage like that. After the Field Summit, it just so happens that one of my clients that's right next door to my office cuts Eddie Wilson's hair. So this local billionaire lives in my backyard. And it just so happens that we're going to share the same stage on February 9th. You're one conversation away, one introduction away from an explosion in your life. You just got to have faith and show up, you know? Show up every day, and eventually someone's going to talk about you in rooms that you're not in. But I always like to say that has nothing to do. That's all God. That's not had nothing to do with Miguel. I'm flawed in so many areas. I'm righteous or ratchet, depending on what day you catch me on. And that's what I would tell you.
I love it. Needed that motivation today. That's perfect.
I think that's human. Showing up how you are. I mean, that's what everyone wants to see. It's relatable. It's real life.
Well, and most entrepreneurs are not, business development and sales is not really their passion. And so it's work, it's where the energy drains. So something as simple as what you suggested is just kind of have a little fun with it. Don't make it so formal. It doesn't have to be a huge event. And yeah, you don't ever know who you're talking to, who might know somebody who knows somebody along the line. Well, we're excited about our upcoming trip. I'm not sure that this episode will go live before we're there, but we still, regardless, we're building this coast to coast connections with Kate, as you mentioned, and we'll be out in Florida. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to meet you while we're there. But we're building it, and it's a challenge because Mac or I are not from there. We don't have really contacts, a lot of contacts. We do have some, but not in kind of in-depth contacts. So trying to reach out, get some business development, get people to attend the session, it's a little bit of a challenge, but that's where I said it's motivating today, because that's what we're doing is we're calling people, we're trying to get connected and meet some individuals along the way that maybe will be interested in having a cup of coffee with us. So while we're there, and Mac and I are both extremely curious people. And so meeting with people like yourself, learning about you, what you do in your business and the energy. And now when I see you, I'll be like, Dave Chappelle, like comedy.
I love it. I love
Now
it.
I know the way to Miguel's heart. Here's some tickets.
Yeah, I
um,
listen.
but yeah, I mean, just really kind of finding out what drives people is really very interesting. So you've got this session coming up in October. How do people best find you, Miguel? We talked about Instagram.
I would say Instagram is the best way to find me. I am Miguel Camargo, so it's I am and my first and last name right there. I always like to say let's get connected. I always say I'm not for everybody, but I think I'm one conversation away from being able to at least help someone in the next direction, right?
Absolutely.
So
Well, Mac, do you have anything else, or Miguel,
no, listen,
anything you haven't touched on?
well, no, I appreciate you allowing me to be here. And one thing I tell people to, I encourage people to do this is always audit your network pretty consistently when you're networking, because you can realize you can have a lot of contacts, but audit the ones that are actually bringing value to your life at this current moment. Doesn't mean you get rid of them, but if you can audit the people that are around you that are helping you actually bring in revenue, then you realize the ones you're not wasting time on. And that's one thing I like to leave people with is don't go get a bunch of contacts just for the sake of having a bunch of numbers. Audit the contacts that you have, and then build those genuinely and authentic. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for the sale. Too many times do we feel we need to be best friends with someone before we ask for the sale. We can't do that. I had to have this paradigm shift not too long recently, Mac. Someone asked me, "Do you need to be friends with someone in order to do business with them?" Answer is no. But to me, I'm a loving relationship kind of person. I'm like, I want to be your best friend before you think I'm trying to sell you something. You have a service, you have a need. Tell them what you do, and most people realize they're not your client just because you haven't asked them.
Right. And it doesn't have to be in a super salesy way. It can be how you talk and how you ask questions and inquire. It can be as simple as let's get coffee and chat about what projects you're working on. And I heard from a mentor that I actually network with, how can I add value to you?
Mhm.
Asking people that question.
Excellent. Well, Miguel, we do ask people something fun or surprising that our audience might like to know about you. You already shared some of it, but anything else?
My biggest thing is I'm a MMA and R&B fanatic. I'm a songwriter. Been writing songs for the last 20 years, and that is my probably first, second, third love. I don't know. I don't know if it's comedy, music, or martial arts.
I love it. That's quite a combination.
Yeah, that's why I've never had a hard time getting the ladies when I was single. So I got 6 kids, I guess.
It's been a pleasure, Miguel. We really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule. And we shall be in touch, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
We will see each other soon. Talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Okay, take care, Miguel. Thank you.
All right, bye.